Every night you spend tossing, waking, exhausted by morning, your body isn't failing you. You're failing it, and it costs you one mineral. Let that land, because somewhere in this room, someone went to bed last night at a reasonable hour, closed their eyes, and still woke up 3 times. Lay there in the dark with their mind running loops. Got up at 2 a.m. because the urge was too urgent to ignore, and dragged themselves into morning feeling not rested but processed, ground down, older than they should, and they assumed this was just how it is now. It isn't. What I want to offer you today is not a wellness trend or a supplement pitch. It is a physiological explanation rooted in endocrinology, neuroscience, and clinical research for why your sleep has been stolen, and what the evidence says about getting it back. The story begins with a hormone you already know, but probably misunderstand. Cortisol. In popular culture, cortisol has become synonymous with stress and damage, something to suppress, to detox, to fear. But that framing is wrong, and it matters that we correct it. Cortisol is one of the most precisely engineered hormones in the human body. Every morning before your alarm sounds, your adrenal glands release a surge of it that prepares every major system for the day ahead. It raises blood pressure just enough to stand. It floods your cells with glucose for fuel. It sharpens focus and primes immune readiness. Without cortisol, you could not wake up. Without its morning architecture, you could not think, move, or function. The problem is not cortisol. The problem is the clock. Under healthy circadian conditions, cortisol follows a specific arc, high in the morning, declining through the afternoon, and reaching its lowest point in the early evening so that melatonin can rise and sleep can begin. That descent is not optional. It is the gateway. Melatonin cannot rise meaningfully in the presence of elevated cortisol. The nervous system cannot shift from sympathetic activation, the alert, ready state of waking life, into the parasympathetic mode that makes deep, consolidated sleep possible, but we have broken that clock. Blue light from screens after dark signals the brain's master clock that it is still midday. Chronic low-grade stress keeps the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal circuit that governs cortisol release, in a state of perpetual low activation. Inflammatory diets, irregular schedules, emotional hyperarousal from the relentless input of modern life, all of it feeds the same circuit. And the result is a cortisol curve that no longer descends properly. It lingers. It burns low into the night. And it holds the door to real sleep firmly, chemically shut. This is where the mineral enters. And I want you to hear this with the scientific weight it deserves. Magnesium is the 4th most abundant mineral in the human body. It is a required cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including virtually every process involved in energy production, neurological regulation, and hormonal signaling. It is, in the most fundamental sense, one of the primary substrates upon which human physiology runs, and it is deficient in an estimated 70 to 80% of adults in the industrialized world, not because people are careless, but because the magnesium content of soil has declined by 20 to 30% over the past half-century through intensive agricultural practices. The food looks the same. The mineral profile is not. When you take for 100 milligrams of elemental magnesium, approximately 1 hour before sleep, in a bioavailable form such as glycinate or threonate, to things happen that are directly, measurably relevant to what we have been discussing. First, magnesium modulates the HPA axis. It acts as a physiological dampener on cortisol release, reducing the amplitude of the evening cortisol elevation and accelerating its return to baseline. This is not sedation. This is restoration of the regulatory feedback the system was always designed to have. Cortisol falls as it was supposed to. Melatonin rises into the space that creates. The body receives the chemical invitation to sleep, the one it has been waiting for. Second, magnesium restores neurological quiet at the receptor level. It physically blocks NMDA receptors, the brain's primary excitatory channels, through what neuroscientists call voltage-dependent blockade. When the neuron is at rest, a magnesium ion sits in the channel and prevents unnecessary excitation. In a magnesium-replete brain, the mind at night is still. In a magnesium-depleted brain, those channels are unguarded, neurons fire on minimal stimulus. Thoughts arrive uninvited and rapid, and the experience of lying awake with a racing mind is not a psychological failing. It is a receptor without its natural gatekeeper. Now I want to address the dimension of disrupted sleep that people find most immediately frustrating, and that science explains most elegantly. Waking up to urinate, the posterior pituitary releases a hormone called vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone, in rising concentrations as the night deepens. Vasopressin tells the kidneys to slow down, concentrate, conserve under proper hormonal conditions. This instruction is so effective that a healthy adult can sleep 8 uninterrupted hours without any urological urgency. The bladder is quiet not because it is empty, but because the kidneys have been told chemically to produce less. Elevated nighttime cortisol disrupts this signal. The vasopressin instruction is blunted. The kidneys continue working. The bladder fills at near daytime rates. And because the sympathetic nervous system, which cortisol maintains in partial activation, makes the bladder more reactive, moderate filling registers as urgency rather than comfort, you wake. You get up. The deepest phase of your sleep cycle, slow-wave sleep, where growth hormone peaks, cellular repair occurs, and immune function consolidates, is cut short before it can complete. And no amount of returning to bed fully recovers what was interrupted. Magnesium does not touch the bladder. It touches the cortisol. And when cortisol falls, vasopressin rises, and the kidneys finally rest. The night becomes what it was always physiologically designed to be, unbroken. A 2012 randomized controlled trial in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences confirmed it clinically. Adults with insomnia given magnesium supplementation showed improved sleep time, improved efficiency, and reduced early awakening, alongside measurably lower serum cortisol and measurably higher melatonin, not as consequences of better sleep. As its upstream chemical causes, the sequence is everything. Magnesium restored the hormonal environment. Sleep followed because it always follows. When the conditions are finally right, here is what I want to leave you with. We live in an era of pharmacological sophistication that would have seemed miraculous to every prior generation of human beings. And yet, we are among the most sleep-deprived populations in recorded history. We have engineered molecules of extraordinary precision to treat disease, and somehow overlooked the possibility that one answer to our most universal suffering was already in the body, waiting to be replenished, not invented, for 100 milligrams. And are before sleep, a mineral the earth once gave freely, that modern life has quietly taken away, not a cure, not a shortcut, a return. Your body has not forgotten how to sleep. It has simply been waiting, night after quiet night, for the chemistry to finally come home, give it back.